Okay, so I thought I had a pretty good handle on what prayer was. You picture someone being quiet, maybe asking for something.
Hmm.
But the material we're looking at today just completely flipped that on its head. It
Yeah.
basically treats prayer not as this internal act, but as a way of like reaching across dimensions.
It's a really radical shift in perspective. We're looking at this idea of the transcendent power of prayer. And yeah, it's not about quiet reflection at all. It's framed as this active, almost mechanical process.
Right. And that's our mission for this deep dive, to unpack how that's even supposed to work. Because it claims that things like conviction, self-recognition,
Hmm.
these are the tools you use to basically break the laws of physics.
Well, to get the tools, you have to start at the source of the power. And the material is very specific about this. It's not about, pleading with some deity or asking
Okay.
for a favor.
No, it calls it self-recognition as a higher being,
Exactly.
which to me implies that prayer isn't reaching out to something. It's about aligning with something you already are.
That's it perfectly. It's like the difference between begging a stranger for money and realizing you had it in your own bank account the whole time. You stop identifying as just a physical person and recognize what it calls your multidimensional nature.
And that changes everything, doesn't it? Because if you think you're just, stuck here, then you are. But the source says conviction is the actual key,
It is. The belief itself is presented as the engine.
the thing that lets you overcome three-dimensional limitations.
And we're talking about the big ones, the hard rules.
Gravity, distance,
Mm.
the fact that time only moves forward. And that's where this whole thing just got really wild for me. The idea that you can influence the past.
That is easily the most provocative claim in the entire thing.
But wait, hold on. Changing the past. I mean, doesn't that create a paradox?
Mhm.
If I pray today to fix some mistake that happened in, say, 1920, and it works, wouldn't the mistake be gone? So I'd have no reason to pray in the first place.
That's the key detail, though. It's not saying you can go back and, physically move an object.
Well, okay.
The mechanism it describes is purely mental. It says you can alter the past by affecting the thoughts and decisions of people who lived then.
So it's less like a time machine and more like, what, telepathy across time?
You could sort of think of it that way. You aren't rewriting the history books. It's more like you're whispering an idea or a hunch to someone who lived 100 years ago, just influencing a choice.
Wow. Okay, so time isn't a wall. It's more like a frequency you can tune into. So if that's the past, what about the future? How does it work going forward?
It's a similar mechanism, but with a different function. It calls prayer a guiding light for the future. You're basically lighting up a potential path, making certain changes possible down the line.
And this doesn't just stop at our timeline either. I saw that. It explicitly mentions the spirit world and even parallel universes.
It does, which, if you accept the first premise, that prayer ignores distance and time, it kind of makes sense that it would also ignore the boundaries of our specific reality.
That brings us to the amplification part then, because we aren't just doing this alone. There's a whole section on group prayer.
Right. Group prayer amplifies its effect.
It sounds like it's not just about volume, like getting 1,000 people to say the same thing. It's about synchronization. That unity is what boosts the signal.
That's a perfect analogy. It's like the difference between a bunch of scattered light bulbs and a single focused laser beam. That coherence is what lets the signal reach other realms.
It really forces you to zoom out from your everyday life. We
Yeah.
walk around feeling like we're just reacting to things. But this view, it paints you, the listener, all of us, as these massive, multidimensional beings who are constantly influencing reality, past, future, all of it.
It definitely puts a lot more responsibility on where you put your focus. And, it raises a funny question if you follow the logic all the way through.
What's that?
Well, if our prayers today can influence the thoughts of people in the past, are our own sudden flashes of inspiration, those random aha moments, are they actually the result of someone's prayer from the future reaching back to us?
Okay, that is a lot to chew on. Now I'm going to be second-guessing every good idea I have this week. Thanks for diving in with us.